Hey, I'm George Mossey. I'm here with Marshana, Dahlia, Spavento. We got episode 16 of 90 Day Fiancé. And we were made aware that there's only one more episode, and that's the finale.
I know, crazy.
Yes, and the following week is a tell-all because you all know we were stripped of that last season. We did not receive a tell-all. We have no closure. So I'm really excited because there's some craziness that took place this season that I would love to hear them talk about. So let's just jump right in. So I called this the wedding special last night because there was 3 weddings and we got to see Tarek and Hazel get married. So let's just start out right there. So it's wedding day for them. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Hazel seemed happy, but she still didn't seem as happy as when the stripper started clapping. So I feel like she does love Tarek, but I feel like the happiness that she achieved during that stripper session is not, Tarek is going to have to work a little harder to get her to that point.
Tarek's gonna have to do a lot to kind of match the stripper's booty clapping. I mean, you've got Tarek on one hand and a really nice booty clapping stripper on the other hand.
It doesn't even seem fair, right? It doesn't even seem fair.
Right.
So Tarek's brother, Dwayne, they hadn't talked to, I want to say it was almost like a decade. He drove all the way from Iowa for the wedding, and he has no other family in attendance. His mom is in high risk for COVID, and his brother, Dean, he described their relationship as dead. So there's literally no family in attendance from her side or his other than his brother, which is insane. I can't imagine getting married without anybody there. And then his brother is there, but they haven't talked in so long. It's almost like he's a stranger. So it's almost like no one is even there. So I can't even imagine what it's like to get married in a pandemic and not have anybody around. No one to share that moment with.
I got married in 2020 in January before lockdown, so I didn't get affected with the pandemic, but I didn't have any member of my immediate family at my wedding at all whatsoever. So I get it. And you know what? It was good for me. It is well with my soul. I feel fine. So I can understand getting married without family for one reason or another, but it seemed like I thought it was really sweet with his daughter there.
Yeah.
And kind of having her there, and she was really a part of the ceremony mainly because she was like, I'm not letting go. I'm not moving. I'm going to be right here in the middle of this. And, you know, to me, it was like a little bit like how kids are, right? Like to me, it looked like in the moment, like the little girl might have been like a little bit jealous. Like, who's this woman with my daddy? Like, let me get in the middle of this. But I digress. Maybe I'm looking too deeply into it, but you know, I thought it was a very sweet ceremony. I thought Hazel made a beautiful, absolutely stunning bride. And I'm glad that of all the weddings we saw yesterday, I think theirs was the nicest. Like, the most put together wedding that looked like they had a plan, that looked like it was well organized, because the rest of these weddings were trash. I said what I said.
We're going to cover that, but I do want to say 2 more things about them. He retired the baby blue suit for the wedding. Thank you so much. If I find it, I'm going to burn it. He retired it for the wedding, and then right after the wedding, while the ink was still wet on the marriage license, Hazel said, now we can find our girlfriend.
Ink was still wet. This is not going to end well, but okay, so buckle up.
They should be working on their honeymoon, not bringing somebody else in, but we're going to wait because they're going to be transitioning to the next season of Happily Ever After. So we'll see how that all plays out. So let's talk about Brandon and Julia. So first of all, Brandon is doing Julia's hair for the wedding. What is this? And I mean, I have seen Betty's hair, so I understand why Julia didn't want any help there. But come on now, Brandon. Can you at least hire somebody to come do this girl's hair for her wedding? She only wants to get married one time.
Well, okay, in their defense, it was a pandemic outside. Maybe hairdressers weren't making house calls. But given the option of, like, as you said, Betty or Brandon, we're going to take Brandon. We're not going to take Betty, because my husband even asked me last night, like, is that a perm in Betty's hair? Like, we can't really figure it out. It's like what the 1980s is going on over here when it comes to Betty and hair. So she did look good, though. Julia did look good in the end. So it even though I'm not a fan of the dress and the jacket and the denim jacket and the short, it wasn't for me. But she, from the neck up, she was cute.
She did look great. I did subtract 15 points from Brandon because there was no limo, and he just drove her there in the Honda. And I was like, Brandon, no, like, absolutely not. First of all, you're not even supposed to see her. Second of all, she needs to arrive in a limo, or if you're Rebecca, in a horse-drawn carriage like Cinderella. So I was like, I'm going to subtract 15 points from your total there because I just don't agree. I was like, 5 points for the hairdresser situation, 15 points for the no limo. I just felt like he was cutting corners. You know, Brandon was cutting corners. He didn't even want to get married. He reminded me of Jovi in the situation. He was like, this is just something I have to endure. But you have to splurge because this is a day that, like most of the women on this season and most women in the world, they've been dreaming about this for their whole life. Just make it memorable. Don't let COVID take that away. You know, give them what they want, because if all works out, this is the only time they're going to do it.
Right. I agree.
All right, so let's talk about Betty at the end of the wedding. She's gushing to the camera that Brandon is 27. He's always going to be her baby. She has no idea what she's going to do once he's moved out and moved along. And then her husband says, you know, I'm still here. And it's funny because we've been trying to say this all season. Like, you know, Betty, you have a husband who you could pay some attention to, and you can let Brandon just be an adult male and live his life with his wife. And even her husband feels the same way. Like, at what point are you going to cut that umbilical cord and just be my wife?
Well, listen, it seems, as to me at least, it's pretty apparent in the 27 years since Brandon detached from Betty's body, Ron was gone. Like, Ron got written out her script 27 years ago when Brandon was born. She has been about Brandon. It's Brandon for life. Like, Ron could come and go, but Betty's like, that right there, that's mine. So I get it to a sense, because now that I'm a mom and I have my son, I'm like, he's always gonna be my baby. I love him so much, and he's so cute and yummy. But I do understand that my little boy has to grow up, you know. He can't live his life or around for me, right? I think the whole purpose of parenthood is to raise your children well enough that they no longer need you.
Absolutely.
Sadly. But that's kind of it.
Right. It's a bittersweet. It's a double-edged sword. You raise them well and they don't need you and they move on. And I can't imagine. I'm not a mother, so I don't know what it's like, you know, to bring a human being into the world and then have to let them go. I assume that must be really difficult. So I feel for her, but at the same time, she's interfering to the point in his life where it's becoming dysfunctional. So I just want her to just distance herself. She doesn't need to let him go. Just distance herself so he can have his own life, and then he can bring his wife around her, and there's no awkward or tension situation there.
I agree.
All right, so we're going to come back in part 2, and we're going to talk about some more weddings and some more situations with Natalie and Mike and where that train wreck is going. So I'm going to put the socials at the bottom. I'm George Mossey. This is Marshana, Dahlia, Spavento. I'll put our Instagrams, Twitters on the bottom. This will be posted on georgemossey.com. We'll be back for part 2 because, guys, we are one episode away from the tell-all, and I cannot wait. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you guys real soon.